What? It's called the Tank PC, right? Okay, sorry. This is the AceMagic M1A Pro Plus, a mini PC that is boasting a very powerful processor in this bad boy, 128 gigabytes of RAM, and it kind of comes in a cute little package. Let's open it up. Feels like a tank, you know? Whoop. Look how cute it is! It kind of looks like it's either a cyborg or that's its nose. That's actually how you can change the power profile of the device. We'll get into that in a little bit. We got to see what else is in the box though. Oh, okay, well, hopefully the device is built better than the box is. Oh, here we go. All of our cables. Holy mother of God, that is a big power brick. Holy cow. That is a 300 watt power brick. Thing's chonky. As for the rest of it, boop. We get our manual, we get our C13 power cord, and we have our HDMI cable. Now, some of you guys might be wondering, who the heck is AceMagic? Well, they've actually been in the game for a little bit, and this isn't their first Tank PC, or at least PC in the Tank series that kind of uses a similar chassis to this. And you can tell that when you open the manual for this device, if you look very closely on the back IO there, let's play spot the difference, kids. Do you have 3 HDMI ports and 3 display ports on this one? No. They're reusing a similar designed chassis and then just reusing the old manual from the other devices. There's actually some more errors in here. I don't want to go over all of them because I don't care if the manual's wrong. If the device works, it's probably okay, right? Let's finish doing an exterior tour before I tell you all of the specs in this bad boy. On the back here, we have our 3.5mm combo audio jack, our DC power, which again, that big power brick goes into. You have 4 USB 3.2 Gen 1 ports, so those are 5 gigabit a second ports. We have 2 HDMI 2.1s, 2 2.5 gig LANs, which are covered up here. I'll explain why in a second, and a DP 2.0 port, and then a Kensington lock if you really don't want people stealing this thing. On this side, you got apparently a contact support number. I kind of want to call that. And then we've got tips. For faster setup, avoid Wi-Fi or LAN. Connecting might trigger long updates. Our labs team was very confused when they saw that sticker, and that's actually what the stickers over the Ethernet ports are as well. This shipped with a pretty old version of Windows. And the reason it tells you that is because obviously when you first plug a Windows computer in and you're going through the initial out-of-box setup, it will download those updates in the background and it can take a very long time. I think they're kind of just like, skip it. Just get into Windows first before you update, which does actually help speed up the initial setup phase. On the front here, I kind of talked about it before. You have this knob that can let you toggle between the 3 power modes on this thing. We have 2 USB 3.2 Gen 2 ports, so these are 10 gigabit a second. We have 1 USB 4 port, which can do 8K displays, that means, or 40 gigabit a second as well. A full-size SD card reader, and again, another combo audio jack. And on this side, we've just got a bunch of stickers. Top, it's just a bunch of ventilation. It's a good thing it's got a lot of ventilation because in this is actually the same chip in the framework and that X Plus rival device I looked at earlier. So it's the Ryzen AI Max Plus 395 chip. That's 16 cores, 32 threads, boost up to 5.1 gigahertz. And this configuration is the only configuration you can buy, but it has 128 gigabytes of RAM at 8,000 mega transfers per second. Now, if you're familiar with the AI Max Plus lineup from AMD, you know that that RAM is not upgradable, which is another lying point in the manual, because I believe it's on this side. They say that there's a RAM upgrade in there. As you can see, there's not. But what there is another M.2 in there. So you can add expandable storage or swap yours out, but there's not just one. Oh, look at that. There's the one that's included and a third one. And then at the very back there, there's our Wi-Fi card. So if you needed to swap that one out for whatever reason in the future, oh, it's a 7. So yeah, you probably won't even need to swap this one out, not for a while at least. But quick access to the SSD, man. And actually, it's gonna be kind of hard for you guys to see, but this kind of thick black plastic piece right here, that is the 80mm fan. That's the intake. It's a pretty thick boy. I don't know how it's going to sound. 80mm fans tend to have kind of a more annoying meh sound or something like that. I really hope it doesn't sound like that when we power this on, but we're just gonna have to find out. Other than that, that's basically the entire device. It's pretty light, but again, I think most of the weight is in the power brick, so that makes sense. Should we fire this thing up and just get gaming on it? I think we should, but you guys are gonna have to listen to this message from our sponsor first.
Join over 95 million other players in the action-packed and free-to-play vehicular combat game War Thunder. There are thousands of war machines for you to take command of, from tanks and armored cars to ships and even fighter jets. The game is super immersive. Battles aren't determined by a simple health bar. Instead, it comes down to blowing up the enemy vehicles piece by piece. And not only is it available on consoles and PC, but War Thunder can even be played on the go with a phone or tablet. Check it out for free and claim your bonus pack with our link below.
Oh my God, updates, Windows. It's because we connected it to LAN. Actually, we're not connected to LAN. Actually, how is it doing updates then? It's probably on Wi-Fi maybe. By default, it's in the silent mode, and they also have a balanced and performance mode. The silent mode makes this draw 70 watts, the balanced is 100 watts, and the performance is 140, with a big asterisk there, because I'm gonna go over that. Labs found some weird numbers, but let's turn it to balanced. I was kind of expecting something to like happen, okay? Performance. Ooh, it's red now. Okay. It does change the color, but do you notice what it also does? It resets the RGB. So when I turn it, you can see that it like, the RGB does like a little skip. It's like restarting whatever its cycle is. That sucks. You can't customize the RGB, man. This is like the most basic of controllers in here. But we might as well game, right? Let's do some gaming. Unironically, I think this thing looks pretty cool. Like, I think if you rocked up to a LAN with this thing, they'd be like, whoa, what is that? That's kind of cool. Plus, it's pretty portable. I don't know. Do I have anything signed in? I have no games. Oh, I have Cyberpunk. Let's go. That was the Terminator. That wasn't Cyberpunk. Oh, it's starting to ramp up, baby. Woo, it's taking off. I'm in Cyberpunk 1440p with everything basically on high, with some things being ultra, no ray tracing, no frame gen. Let's see what kind of gaming experience we can get out of this. Oh boy, high and ultra might be a little much for this. We're at like 40 in the 1% lows, 50 average. Okay, I am gonna dial these settings just a tiny bit. We're gonna do settings. I'm gonna do medium settings, no resolution scaling. We'll keep everything on medium to high, no ray tracing again. Still 1440p. Oh, that's much better. Yeah, our average is about 60 to 70 now. 1% lows are at about 50. I think if you did a little bit more tweaking on a per game basis, you could probably get this to be a pretty stable 1% lows in the 60s. Maybe playing at 1080p instead of 1440p. But this is a pretty demanding game. We all know Cyberpunk's pretty demanding. I'm gaming on a tank. I will say, I have not been gaming that long. In fact, I'm just in the title screen right now. That fan is not quiet. It's not quite as whiny as I thought it might have been with an 80mm fan, but I can tell it's moving a lot of air. Ooh, it's going. Just for audio's sake, I am going to, I think, close the game while I read off the labs results. For our labs testing results, we compared it against the Framework desktop, since those are both using the same chip and they both have similar amount of RAM. And in this case, they configured it to have 32 gigabytes of RAM on the GPU. If you remember with the 395 chip, just like the Framework, you can actually go into the BIOS and configure how much RAM is being allocated to the onboard GPU. So in our test, we tested 32 gigabytes on both of them. So that way it's kind of comparable. And as for the tank, it performed slightly worse across our tests. In the games, for example, it was a couple FPS lower, both in the average and the 1% lows. In our Aputure bench tests, basically the same thing, a little bit worse than the Framework desktop. Where this thing does win though, is in temperature, meaning it gets hotter. Higher number means better, right? Sorry, that was terrible. It also is a hotter device than the Framework, because again, that Framework has a 120mm fan. It's a much bigger fan than this one. Where this device did win though, was it did actually have a higher max clock speed. The problem was, labs noticed it would only boost to that for 1 to 2 seconds before it would clock down much lower. In terms of the wattage, that's where it would peak at the 140 watts like I mentioned earlier, but then it would clock down and just hold 120 watts, basically flat across the board. If you take one of these graphs, for example, where you can see that the Framework is able to boost higher for longer, depending on the length of the task, the Framework desktop is probably going to be your best bet. But if it's a very, very long task, they both slowly start to converge towards each other and almost end up in the same performance realm. But if you were looking for relatively shorter, higher clock speeds, the Framework desktop wins out over this thing. So if it performs worse than the Framework desktop, it should be cheaper, right? Well, it is. on sale. At the time of recording this video right now, it's
$2,600
US. That is a ton of money for a small form factor PC. The MSRP though for this thing is $3,300, which, that's pretty brutal. I would never buy this at MSRP. I think it might be worth investigating for yourself if you can get it at that sale price. A couple things to keep in mind though. AceMagic, not necessarily known for their amazing, fantastic, top-of-the-line support or long-term support for their devices, whereas Framework so far has kind of proven that they're at least around for a couple of years at this point, so maybe they're gonna help you a bit more. I guess it really depends on your use case. If you're someone that's just wanting to get that 395 chip at the maxed out spec, hey, this might be for you because it is cheap for that chip. But if you're someone who wants like a small form factor gaming PC, it might be worth spending the extra couple $100 to buy it from a reputable brand. Like Framework, for example. Framework disclosure, I forgot to do that at some point. Or someone else, or just build your own small form factor PC. RAM is expensive though, so it's up to you. If you guys enjoyed this video, go check out the other 2 videos that I've done with this exact same chip. One was that Framework desktop, another was called the X Plus Rival. That one kind of had more of a gamery aesthetic. The Framework was more of a gentleman's computer.